Hey everyone, welcome back to 40 Billion Reasons. I'm Max Israel. This week, the power of portrait, the incredible work of portrait artist Irving Penn, and the lessons for the CX community. I think a lot of you know that I founded Customerville 14 years ago. Gosh, it's almost been 15 years ago. But about a half dozen years ago, we really started looking at how we could redesign and reimagine the idea of measuring customer experience. We wanted to get away from this idea of surveys that fatigued people, so we were studying a lot of art and looking at how we could combine art and design with technology to make surveys something people wanted to actually take. So that's really where I was, kind of like up here, right? Mentally, when I found myself of all places in Venice, Italy. Beth and our 3 kids, who were small at the time, and I were just bombing around Venice, having this incredible week. I mean, we ate tons and tons of pasta, way too much gelato. One day, Beth rented us a speedboat that took us out to the island of Murano, where for like an hour, they mistook us for rich people and tried to sell us chandeliers, which was actually pretty funny. And we just had this great time. And that's where I was when I stumbled into the Palazzo Grassi. Palazzo Grassi is a national museum. It is absolutely outstanding. It's right on the Grand Canal. It's right where it makes that big southern swoop, for those of you who know Venice, right in the belly of the curve. And my youngest son and I went walking in there, and immediately I felt like I was getting this electric shock, that I was just seeing something that was going to change the direction of my company and in some ways the direction of my life. It was this exhibition of Irving Penn's photography, and it's absolutely amazing. Let me tell you why it was so important. He took portraits of tradespeople. We're talking about people with simple jobs, policemen, chimney sweeps, butchers, bakers, people like that. And he photographed them in their work clothes, right? But always with this kind of neutral background. So all the distraction was taken away. And you just see their humanity. I mean, these photos are just brilliant. You see the person beyond the uniform. And I remember thinking, wow, this is really important stuff, right? Because that's what we needed to do. If you think about the problem that we have, and this is why this is important to you, this is why I want you to pay attention to this. The problem that we have, particularly in big enterprises, is that when we go to ask people for feedback, they're not really seeing the people they're sharing feedback about. What are they seeing? They're seeing the uniform, right? They're seeing the number. And you've all probably had this experience where you're reading maybe through some verbatims or something like that, and you realize there is no way on earth this customer, this person, would ever say these things face to face to a real human being. And yet somehow, because it just feels so anonymous, so disconnected, that people leave feedback that's either crummy feedback, it's not very useful feedback, it can be rude, all kinds of stuff. And so when I looked at these photos, I realized, hey, this is a big opportunity. We can learn from this, and we can learn how we can use art following the lessons of Irving Penn in order to create surveys that actually make a survey respondent feel an emotional connection to another human being, to see the human behind the uniform. It's a very, very big deal. Remember, at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is we're trying to create a human-to-human connection. We're trying to sell the person sharing feedback on this idea that, hey, I'm going to share your comments with real people. This isn't just going into a server somewhere. If you can do that, you can get feedback that just has an entirely new level of quality to it. And that's really important. Over the years, that afternoon at the Palazzo Grassi in Venice has rippled through my company and our product in just countless ways. And even as you kind of look at some examples here, you can start to see how we use portrait photography to create that human-to-human connection. But I'll just tell you something, this is not easy work. This is among the hardest work that our designers do. Why? Because not every photograph works. Pictures of your product don't work. Stock photography doesn't work. It takes a certain type of photograph to really capture the essence of the person on the other end of it. You need a certain kind of eye contact, a certain kind of intimacy. We actually either, in rare occasions, we can use photography taken specifically for the client. Sometimes we'll dispatch a photographer who uses kind of a portrait guide that we've created. But we're always looking back to these lessons about Irving Penn. One last note, I'll leave you with this. If you get a chance, if you find a copy of Irving Penn's Small Trades on Amazon, pick that thing up. They're mostly out of print and they're very, very expensive. I keep giving mine away. So I'm looking around and I've got all kinds of different photo books here of some of my favorite modern portrait photographers. Dan Winters is one of my all-time favorites. We actually interviewed him as we sought to improve how we do this work. But if you get a chance, get online and buy yourself a copy of Irving Penn's Small Trades. I think it'll become one of your most treasured possessions. Once you get that book, you'll see what I mean. Until next week, take care.